All right, well, I'm going to get started. I'm excited to spend some time with you guys on something that's really basic and boring, which is how I run my day as kind of a top producer, which I hate that word. But at the end of the day, I think we're all trying to do more with less time. And I know that my best success is just owning kind of theme days and a calendar and really my hope is that we can just kind of talk about some proven tactics that I use to kind of structure my day for maximum productivity. At the end of the day, I do live and breathe by my calendar. I think that there's also some overwhelming thoughts when it comes to how do you prospect for new business and how do you maintain your client relationship database and where do you find the balance of being professional and have a personal life. And I think sometimes we need to have some disciplines and focus. So before I get kind of started, I'd love to like just hear kind of round robin. We've got 18 people on the call of like what's one part of kind of your daily routine that you wish worked better? So why don't we start with you, Dave?
Boy, that's a good question. I'm pretty happy with how my day goes. I will tell you, I think like a lot of us, when I'm in my prospecting time period, I still allow distractions.
Okay.
Although how I compensate for that is that I make every conversation prospecting now and I try to make them count. So all throughout the day. So I still manage to get some stuff done. But I think I leave a lot on the table because I'm not focused during that time as much as I could be. So that's a challenge I have. Thank you for asking.
I love it. What about you, Mark?
Well, I love my time management as well. My calendar is pretty packed. I think the only thing that I would want to improve on is when I'm nearing towards the end of the day and I know my commitments to be home by a certain time for my family, when I get that urgent call from an agent or that client that just absolutely needs to talk and I just don't have the time allotted, so I move it to the next day.
Do you feel like you're letting the agent down? Is that the problem?
I don't. What I do is I just ask, hey, on a level of 1 to 10, what's the level of urgency that you have to get this done right now? And if it's lower than an 8, then they're always okay with me pushing until the next day.
Yeah. I get that. That's a skilled trait. I think all of us just want to attend to the need currently, and we don't have boundaries. I think that that's like an underrated skill that is so important in business and in life. Because I don't know about you, but like I feel like I say yes to everything, and I want to attend to it. Versus, you know what, it's okay for me to like catch my breath and focus on what's important to me in that current moment. What about you, Tony? What's something in your daily routine that you wish worked better?
Sticking to my daily calendar. I haven't filled out, but I get distracted a lot running the
Yeah.
branch as well, and I just don't stay to it all day long.
What do you think distracts you?
Uh, Helping other loan officers, I just need to do a better job at setting the time, say, hey, these are the times to come in and everything else, but I don't do that. It's my own fault.
I gotcha. Jonas, is there anything that you wish you did better on your daily routine? Or how about you, Danielle? What about you?
Sorry, I had to get my mic on. I am like the worst at just like looking at my phone first thing and then just letting the day like start like attacking me versus me attacking the lead gen in the morning. I know how important it is, but I feel like I can get inside the file or inside like the client fires versus like being like, hey, those can wait. Like this
Sure.
needs to happen right now.
Yeah. I have been guilty of that in the past. One of the things that I think that I do a really good job with as far as like running every individual day is like getting away from the phone. Like for the first 30 minutes of you waking up, like focus on something, whether it's like, going for a walk or just sitting outside or having your morning coffee and like think about like how you want to essentially win the day. I think sometimes we get so focused in life that we don't take the time to physically like give ourselves like a moment to get ourselves started. I know some people love like, a morning devotion or, maybe listening to a podcast or reading 10 pages of the book, like whatever the case is. I think that's great. But like for me, it's like getting just 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes of time where you're just focusing on yourself before you get caught into it. Because once you pick up, the laptop, the email, the phone, you're kind of derailed from your morning routine. I think at the end of the day, when that comes to me specifically, I love to focus on time blocking everything. I know that some of you that have heard me and met me understand that like I love a good theme. I think that's the only way that you can scale and get things done is by having a system. And so for me, I know a lot of us love working out every single morning. I'm a 3 times a week guy if I can do that, but that doesn't mean that I can't take time in the morning. So if you're not time blocking your calendar for your own times, I think when it comes to scheduling and working on the calendar, like you got to put your personal time in first. I think a lot of times we don't do that and we take time and we put our family to the side, right? It's like we can't serve our family if we don't serve our business first. It needs to be the other way because your family at the end of the day or your personal stuff is really should be your why. And so for me, it's like, I like to block out my calendar of the times and places that I need to be. So if that's like, I have a date night every Tuesday, it's like, I don't take listing appointments on Tuesday evenings, right? Or if Saturday morning, a coffee with a very dear friend that we do on routine every single morning after a workout, like that's a staple. Like it's okay to make that a non-negotiable because I think sometimes what we do is we move things and then it doesn't feel consistent. And like for me, the only way that I can honor my calendar is if I'm committed to doing the same things over and over and over again, which gives me the ability to forecast what that week's going to look like. And when we get busy, a lot of things we move off the calendar and then we don't bring it back. And so I like to really just focus on like theme days. I do the same thing every single week on rotation. Yeah, there's some flexibility to it, but if there's nothing like for me, if somebody calls me and they want me to meet with them next Thursday at 5 p.m. and I know that I've got an appointment block spot there, I just need to know if someone has it versus it just being open and available, right? I think, again, a lot of us just take what we can get instead of having these blocks. So in a perfect world, my day is I get up, I shower, I, have some time. I try to get to the office by, 8 o'clock. I get 1 hour before the team comes that I can kind of focus on, okay, what are the things that I need to take care of? Are there any conversations I need to happen? What does the rest of the day look like? What's on my calendar? I like a printed calendar. Yes, it's in the, obviously a digital aspect, but I love, love, love a printed calendar. If you're not carrying, a week at a glance of what your next week looks like or what the rest of the week looks like, you should probably do that just as a point of reference. But I think, again, even breaking it down and focusing on like, what are your days look like? So like for me, I love a Friday flex day where I get a little bit of like nothing is in the morning. In the afternoon, I'm going into businesses. I'm focusing on getting face to face. I'm spending time like clearing the desk, getting into the weekend of sales versus I think a lot of us just kind of wing it, whatever's on the schedule we're going to do, right? So like for me, Monday is all about operations and, generating leads and getting contracts under, opened up and, closing things. Tuesdays is fully in listings. That's kind of my Tuesday day. Wednesday is all about marketing of the listings and making sure that, I'm doing my transactional updates and, of course, giving listing midweek reviews, those types of things. Evening appointments are open on Wednesday. Thursday, homes are coming on the market. We're giving marketing trackers and analytics to, how our listings are performing for the 7-day overview. And then, Friday, like I said, we're kind of working our way through cleaning up and just getting ready to be in sales mode for the weekend. What are some things that you guys do in your calendar to kind of win the day and the week? Mark?
Yeah, for me, it's always morning routine, like you mentioned. I mean, I'm super consistent with exactly what I do every single morning. it does not falter. It's a non-negotiable for me. I think you hit the nail on the head, which is you got to take care of yourself and you got to put the personal things on the counter first. But honestly, it's coming into the office and having a really strong team meeting and knowing exactly who's going to do what and what your responsibilities are that really dictates how the day's going to go.
Right, right. How about you, Danielle? Oh, I can't hear you. You're muted.
2 hours of lead gen per day. Like even if I have to move, like I'm like, okay, it needs to come back on the calendar that day because I just can't roll to the next day or I'm going to have an issue losing it. So I feel like for me, it's always like 2 strong hours per day.
Yeah, I agree. It's 2 hours as soon as you get there. Has anyone read Fanatical Prospecting?
Yes.
That's a killer book. Like I think sometimes, we we don't do what we should do first, we do it last. And I don't know about you guys, but I feel like my energy level and my excitement to call people starts in the morning versus in the actual afternoon. I think a lot of people are tired, they're distracted, they've had some maybe issues or things that have come up in their day that maybe don't make them as intentional in their conversations. And so I think if you could time block, your day and your week for prospecting, you're going to have success. For me, obviously at the last event, we talked about kind of the top 50 list, right? Mondays, right? I'm calling only 12 VIPs. Tuesday, I'm calling 12 leads, right? Wednesday, I'm doing in transaction updates. That's how we do ours. Thursday, I'm calling 12 past clients, and Friday, I'm calling 12 business professionals. And that's it. It's 12 calls, which makes it easy. It makes it obtainable. And then, of course, we'll have more calls throughout the week as needed. Does anyone struggle with having time management around their calls? No? Okay, cool. Everyone's making their calls. I love that.
Bradley, do you mean just sticking to the theme day of it, or what do you mean? Can you give me some more specifics?
Yeah, like I think a lot of us say we make calls, but we don't actually time block our calls. We just call when we're in the car, or we call when we have free time, or when the lead tracker doesn't show up and it doesn't have any names on it. It's like then we find the motivation to call versus having a system and a process where it's obtainable and it's meaningful. There's some intentionality around it. Like you and I, by the way, our AC is broken, so I'm a little hot today. Do you have any, do you feel like with your students and just your business as well? Because I feel like you're super like a machine. Like you and I do kind of the same thing as we have a system towards how we call. You wear that earpiece, I think, to bed.
Yeah, it's comfy too. No, I'm definitely not perfect at it, but I think making the list is the key for me because I like the dopamine hit of highlighting off and making sure that I followed my process and my system. But that's been something I've been even personally trying to get back to is I was more disciplined a couple of years ago, even with, hey, the Friday calls or whatever the calls were, they started at this time and I was on it. And I used to do the call 40 realtors on a Monday, and I didn't know that was a joke. And people were like, you're only supposed to call 20, but it would take me like 5 hours when it was all said and done. But I didn't have any business then. So you should be doing that to lead generate as much as you can. But I think that's always a struggle when you're managing people too. It's not just yourself. And you do feel like other things are pressing, but the goal is understanding, like Mark said, what's the level of importance with the things that are coming across my table? I think a really easy work hack that it seems super simple, but it was a game changer for me is do not have notifications for emails come to your phone. You can have email on your phone. Don't have notifications come and don't have notifications pop up on your computer, period. The only other thing I'd add is when I'm doing calls is I have a little I'm trying to get my steps in, so I put that in the corner and it makes you not be in front of your computer and you can't get distracted. Have your list, already have it written down. Like those are my top 50, so I have it written down and then I make sure I know which ones I'm supposed to be highlighting off during that call period. And if I can't get to them, then I find blocks throughout the rest of the week to make sure I make those touch points.
Yeah, no, that's a great tactic. And actually, Lacey spoke about that at the last event of like making calls in the car. I think there's something to be said about doing it in a room. Like we have an office here where there's no TV, there's no computer, you just have your cell phone. And when your phone is in your hand, in this case, you could obviously be on a call and scrolling at the same time, but putting yourself in a room or an environment that you can just be solely focused on what you're trying to do versus have those distractions. I know Marjorie's made jokes in the past of like her old assistant used to give her some candy if she made her calls, whatever it's going to take to get it done. I think a lot of us are squirrels, and at the end of the day we get distracted really easily. So I love that. I think that was a great little tactic. I think also just putting it on your calendar. I think also when we build our calendars, like for me, my perfect week, I've got time allotted in my time blocking for fire time. Those are times where like if there's something that's urgent or something that the team needs, right? Those are opportunities for me to maybe attend to those items versus I think sometimes we put our fires at the end of the day and then we're heated and then we go home to our spouse and we don't leave the stuff at the office, we bring it home, right? Versus having a couple points for us to have, email check-ins or fire time or whatever we need to do to kind of refocus. I think most of us though don't also color coordinate our calendar. So when I first got into learning how to prospect efficiently, it's like identifying the color blocks that you're doing, right? So for me, if it's generating income, it's green, right? That's previewing property, that's listing appointments, that's buyer consultations, that's obviously dialing for dollars, anything like that is an actual green time where you're generating income, calling realtors. I like yellow for personal, not that it's not important, but it's the color that I use. Red obviously is operational things like our team meetings, our one-on-ones, maybe it's me working on the business or, working on a builder account or putting together some type of new marketing piece, whatever the case is it's color coordinated so that you can see, how did you spend your day? Was your day spent focusing on social media and other elements of the business, or were you focused on like actually generating income for your business? And I think when you color coordinate your calendar, it's kind of like, I don't think a lot of us have realized it, but on the success tracker, the green items, those are actually generational activities. If you spend more time focusing on the green stuff on your day-to-day operations, you'll generate the income and the life that you want. I think sometimes we focus on the stuff that's fun, which of course is social media and all that stuff. But I think having a good visual aid is a really good tool to help you win the day. Let's see if there's anything. I don't know about you guys, but I set goals for the amount of appointments I want to take each week. And so every day, my hope is to have at least one listing appointment. And I think when you're blocking your calendar specifically and how you're trying to show up in businesses, you have to have a time slot available. So like I have one listing appointment scheduled, midday, one in the evening. I have buyer consultation on the calendar every single day too, so that I can remind myself that those are the activities that I want to do. It's okay to have a mock-up version of what your calendar needs to look like for every single week, right? And I think some of us have never ever taken the step to say like, what does my week need to look like? Or how do I feel like I'm winning? Or, what do I need to do to get the results? And I think when you lay it out and you can have a great visual, you're able to see kind of what you need to do. Like everything needs to be on the calendar. Like I'm going to write 10 thank you cards every single Monday. Like, I don't think we do that. I don't think that we schedule our stuff. I don't think that we schedule one-on-ones with ourselves at the end of the day. I was talking to another realtor student this last month, and they're like struggling because they don't have an assistant, but they never have a one-on-one with themselves. They don't have an end of day meeting that says, okay, these are the things I was going to do. This thing is outstanding. Okay, I'm going to schedule it for tomorrow, right? They just kind of wing it. Sometimes you got to check and balance with yourself. And I think at the end of the day, you've got to have download time where you reflect on, okay, how was my day? Did I show up? Did I accomplish what I needed to do? Is there anything outstanding? Is there a fire that I need to put on the schedule for tomorrow? Right? Most of us just kind of delete it from the calendar, right? Or we don't tend to the need of like, okay, is there anything outstanding? Like, I like a printed calendar for a reason, because on the backside, I can write, what do I need to schedule? Or if somebody calls me, I can take a quick note. I can also, easily, if I mark off the calendar, it feels successful to me. Like, I have to turn in my calendar, right? If I didn't make a call or an appointment overlapped and something needs to be rescheduled, I can give it to my assistant and then I can get it rescheduled. So I think there's some tactics there. Does anyone have any questions?
Brad, you brought up something like when you finish your day, there's something about being complete. So part of the completeness is if you do have anything left over, write it down. Something I do, and I just realized as you're talking that it's actually time is effective, is I make my list in the morning and then I review it again before I go home, and whatever I'm not doing, that's at the top of my list, and I put it on my calendar, my daily calendar, so it's right there in front of me like a task list. And something else that's kind of lost on time management is have your office organized and clean, have your car organized and your closet organized and clean. There's something about having the clutter out of your mind and out of your way that also makes you more organized with your time management. So I thought I would throw those things in there.
Yeah, I think those are some great tactics. I think, it's just like going into a call room, right? You have to make sure it's clean, and you have no distractions. It's the same thing if you get in your car and it's not clean and organized, and you go on a showing and you open the door and your 7 Frappuccinos are, in the door because you didn't take time to like show up. I mean, it's like dressing nice. If you wear a suit every day, it's like flying first class, right? You show up a little differently. And I think a lot of us don't take the time to really put those disciplines in our calendar. I mean, I schedule everything: my haircut, my pedicures, massages, the gym, date nights, whatever you need to do. Like, if it's on the calendar and you're there, you can't stray from the plan. And I think if you ask any top producer in their business, they own and live by their calendar. I mean, it is exactly how we are able to get things done at a high level and still have balance. Mark, what were you going to say? You had a question, or you were going to make a statement?
Yeah, I was going to ask, how much time do you set for those fires? I know that you had said maybe you do it in the afternoon, but for some of the other, like maybe people that are struggling with that, my calendar is I've got one in the morning and one in the afternoon, and I've only got 15 minutes because I only want my brain to deal with it for 15 minutes, and then I want to be done with it. I want to press that reset button and move on. So what's your time frame that you give yourself to deal with fires?
I mean, I think for me, I've got 12 employees, so I need at least an hour, right? And I use that time as also just like giving myself some relief, right? Because one of the challenges I face is that the calendar is too full, that I don't feel like I get my own time to like breathe before I get into the next appointment, right? So like Dave's talking about like having a clean car and like having an office with no distractions. I think sometimes like you got to give yourself a little bit of a breather before you move into the next appointment, right? And so, I mean, I think 30 minutes to an hour is probably enough time, but yeah, I mean, the goal is to like get it off the desk so you can move on. Like, you got to be a fireman. You got to put it out and move on throughout your day, not sit and stew. You know what I mean? And I think that's what most people do, is they move that fire to the end of the day versus handling it quickly and efficiently. Because most of it is just, it's a quick comfort call, right? Something happened with an agent, or something happened with a lender, or somebody's upset that an agent did something at a property, and we just need to attend to it really quickly and we can get back on track. Any other questions? What about you, John?
You talking about John Turber? Well, yeah, I'll just jump in. How do you stay on your non-negotiable time block when you've got so many, like, there's so many distractions that come at you? So like, how do you stay disciplined with your day to not get off track?
Well, it wouldn't be a non-negotiable if you didn't, right? Like you
Right.
can't call it a non-negotiable if you're not willing to commit to it. I think when you realize the activity generates the money you want and you really see the result, I think the problem is a lot of us don't hold ourselves to it because we don't see the instant relief, right? Or the instant gratification of whatever we're doing. It's like you sometimes when we make these calls, right, we're just calling to maintain the relationship and not getting anything. And that we don't see the lead come through then, but the lead can come 3 weeks later. Like for me, I just think you have to do it. It's a habit. It's like exercise, right? Like if you don't work out, you don't maintain the weight. And you just have to do it. Like to me, I know that if I don't time block 5 listing appointments, I won't have the listings that I need to pay the bills. And my thing is like if I don't have 5 listing appointments and I have the week forecasted and I don't see that there's 5, I by Wednesday the week before, I got to fill those spots. And like Jeremy will tell me, hey Brad, you only have 3 next week. You need to find 2. That means I need to go hunt. I need to make more calls. I need to knock on more doors. I need to go back through old lead trackers, whatever the case is. I need to find somebody in my database that needs me to meet with them. Because I'm looking for the action, which is that listing appointment. And right now, buyers are a little bit on the softer side. So like I would love to work with more buyers right now than sellers just because of days on market. But at the end of the day, if I have the listing, I'm going to last. And the chance of me being a dual agent is there. Not that that's my bread and butter, but it's an opportunity, right? Every day to find a buyer and to market somebody's home. And if I've got 8 homes in the same neighborhood, I look like the dominant agent, the next listing is probably going to come to me. Even if it's not selling, I take great care of them. But it's like, I just got to get the listings. I just got to get the buyer consultations. I also think like a non-negotiable is a team meeting. Like it's not just about generating the leads, right? Like I think a lot of us take time and we're kind of wonky with our team. We do a team meeting, maybe once a month. It's like you got to have these disciplines set up. Like you have to have a monthly recap of every single client experience that happened in your organization. You have to have a one-on-one with every team member that's not performing, even if they aren't performing. Like take them out to lunch. Some of our teams are our best VIPs, but yet we say we can't go to lunch with anyone. They got to eat. You got to eat. Take them out to lunch. They're also like your best, if they're your best VIPs, take your entire team out to happy hour once a month. I don't think a lot of us do that because we say we don't have the time to do it. If we treat them really well, they'll stay in our organization. So I think, again, you got to make it a true non-negotiable. And then you won't have to think about if I should do it or replace it. What about anyone else? What other questions we got?
Hey, Brad,
Yeah.
what's the biggest thing you struggle with in your calendar? Is there anything that's like a struggle for you at this point to stay on track with or that you find that you have to keep revisiting to make it happen?
I think the only struggle that I'm having is just the breathing room between appointments because I'm trying to do 16 sides a month. And between, having one-on-ones and consultations and prospecting and doing the board stuff and, doing all the things that I do to generate these, the number of leads that I need is just giving me a little bit of breathing room, right? Like example, today I had call time, team meeting, I'm getting in the car, I've got a listing and a buyer consultation. I come home, I've got one more one-on-one writing an offer with the client, and then I'm serving a presentation for the foundation, giving out 4 awards to seniors at the school system, and then I've got a dinner appointment, and then I'm going to download, right? So it's like there's no breathing room. That's my biggest challenge. And I think the only way that I can do this stuff is by having it in here. So it's like, as much as that's my challenge, it's a good challenge to have, but I have some things that I know that it's easier to maintain a active lifestyle. And not everyone is doing some of the things that I'm doing. So, this is busier than most, but I think at the end of the day, some of us don't have disciplines and we don't have these bumpers. I mean, the nice thing about an organized time block calendar is that you know what to expect and when it's going to happen and you have to do it. So I think the other thing is if there was just a 48-hour day, that would be nice, but that's not happening, Marjorie. Yeah. What are some other questions? Ruthie, what about you?
I definitely let my phone rule me.
What does that mean?
Like, even if I'm like, okay, I'm gonna sit down and do this for 1 hour, if the phone rings, I'm gonna still pick it up. Like, I feel like I constantly have to be like available and ready to talk and answering the phone. So I think I need to focus on like a more focused time where I'm not letting the distractions get me, or like hopping on social media because it's like good to put things on my story or generate, stay in there. So like concentrated work blocks.
Yeah. Do you feel like you time block your calendar right now?
No, yeah, I should do that too.
What's a perfect day look like for you?
Gym in the morning. Well, wake up at 5, read, meditate, gym at 6, into the office by 8, and lead gen for 2 hours before lunch. Showings and a listing appointment in the afternoon, which lately it's been like a little slower, more showings than listings, and home by 5.
Yeah. So when you don't have a showing or a listing appointment, what do you do at that time?
I'm seeing if I can make more calls. I'm sending out annual reports. I'm like in my email, probably sitting in my email too much.
Yeah. Yeah. So like my thing is like if I don't fill that appointment, right, that listing or that buyer consultation, I have to generate. Like I have to generate. So I have to make more phone calls. No social media. Get on the phone. Get face to face. Right? That's at least my superpower. If you put me face to face or you put me on the phone, I'm good. Right? Versus social media. So again, I think like when we think like example on my perfect calendar, right? I've got these 5 evening appointments. Well, 4 because I'm Tuesday nights and state night. But on these, if I don't have an appointment, I have to make calls or get face to face. So that means I go to a happy hour, I pop by businesses. Like you got to have like, okay, this is the activity and this is the second activity and this is the third activity so that you're doing something instead of just, okay, I don't have anything. It's a free night. I think that's what we do. It's a free night. I'm going to go and just take the boat out or, it's like, nope, fill the time with some green space. Jason, what's your question?
You mentioned team meeting, but I'd love to hear you break out what your team meeting looks like as far as the order of it, what all you cover and all that, because, I think a lot of us run a team meeting, but we don't really know what we're talking about. We don't know what we're going through. And especially the smaller, whether it's a loan officer or a realtor, a single person. I think it's important. When I was alone before I had a team, I still did a team download with myself, so that I knew what my tasks were for the day. But I just watched you do it, and watching you delegate, how quickly you delegated, all the things that you covered in your team meeting was you were dialed, and your team meeting was dialed, and everyone else was dialed. So I'd love you to run through that.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing is that you have to have an agenda, right? So like for me, the only way that I can get as much things done is by having an agenda. It's just like having a calendar, right? So I have 1 hour. There's an agenda. Everyone knows when they know when they can speak, they know when they can ask questions, but we're running through it. It's the same agenda every single week. So we start with the wins. Like what were the wins for the week? So each person has to have a win. So we pick the win for them. So like, because it's our job to celebrate the team, right? So like Justin just got back from a knee surgery. He's doing well. Everything's awesome. Kate got 3 buyers under contract. We're super thrilled for her. Lisa's going on vacation. She just put on 6 homes. Like awesome, right? Like killed the week. Like we find a little bit of a win for each one of the team members. And then we get into the open house schedule for the listings. So we go over where they are, if any incentives have taken place on any of those listings or anything that we're doing differently to move that property forward. Then we go into what's coming on the market because our listings are on Thursdays, our team meetings on Thursdays. So we talk about new listings. What is the seller's motivation? What are they priced at? Where are they located? Then we move on to our buyer freeway, which is who's in our car. So what are the leads that are currently in the car? Who do we need to nurture? You know, what inventory do we think is going to be matching, or what came on the market? And, we talk about who, we've usually got scheduled tours, so we're kind of working through that. Then we get into the listing calendar. So what's coming on the market? So like in this instance, we have 18 homes coming on in the next 3 weeks. So we're talking about those. And then we get into, we didn't have time today, but typically we go through the entire lead tracker for the last 60 days. And then we open it up to a roundtable discussion where we're talking about, okay, what is there something that you need in your business that I can help you with? Or do you have a value add for the organization? And that's it. That's our weekly team meeting. It's a PowerPoint. I don't do paper in a team meeting because I don't want them to be distracted. I don't want them to doodle. So we just do a PowerPoint where everyone has to be focused. And then we have obviously an opportunity for kind of a roundtable discussion, but that is essentially the team meeting that we do every single week. And it's a non-negotiable because we can't serve our clients well and we can't serve each other well if we're not all on the same page.
And what day of the week do you do that, Bradley?
So we do Thursdays for us, and that's the reason being is one, because that is when everyone is in the office. And we do it first thing in the morning on Thursday. What other questions on team meetings? That was a good question, Jasek. I think, again, if you don't have a team, or maybe you're a one-person team, maybe you're a two-person team, I think that team meetings need to be, whether they're on Zoom, they can be in person. If they're with yourself, you have to have a weekly download of like what's going well, what's not going well, and it's a way to review. Our month-end team meeting is fully about what took place the month before that went really well. What were some of the best clients we served that we want to go deeper in relationship with, that maybe there's somebody that I didn't really connect with, but they connected with another team member. I will have them start building a personal relationship with them. Or maybe there's somebody we decided, this person wasn't a great fit. We don't want to be deep in relationship with them. That's okay too, right? Celebrating what transactions went well, what transactions didn't go well, all of those things. How many surveys did we get? Again, that's a whole different team meeting where we're kind of downloading on the business side of things. Like, again, how was our response rate to email times? How many people, opened our marketing trackers, and, did this person engage? Like, all of those elements of the business that I think are key staples that's a whole nother download meeting.
How would it look different, to jump back in, if it was just you? Or just you and one other person? Would you cover all those things in depth like you did? Obviously, you're probably not going to do a PowerPoint for yourself or a PowerPoint for you and one other person. What did that look like on the come up for you?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really start tracking things until I felt like there was too many things for me to manage. And I think that's where like most of us are like, okay, shoot, we're getting busy. I need to put a system in place. I regret that because I probably could have had a way better service level from the beginning, which would have maybe got me more deals from the start. But I think, again, if you don't track and measure and reflect, like I'm a very reflective person, I will probably reflect and beat myself up on this actual, conversation here. That's just who I am. I am very critical. And I think you have to be critical about your business. If you want to build your business, you have to be interested in, reviewing every 30 days. And if you can't do it every 30 days, then do it every week. Right. But you gotta have time to reflect. Like you're either building your business or working on your business. And part of working on your business is pulling the mirror close and realizing that there might be some opportunities for improvement. And we're not going to win 100% of the time. But if we know what we did bad on or what was an opportunity to get better on, then that's great too. But we also have to celebrate the wins. Like I am so pissed that a lot of our listings are not selling, and I'm working my tail off and it's aggravating me beyond belief. But then I'm like, look, we just took our 87th listing and it's June 12th. Like, I can't be pissed. I cannot be pissed, right? And so when you have those points of reflection and you're looking at, yourself and your processes and your systems, I also think it gives you an opportunity to say, you know what, I wasn't good at this. I didn't do well in my Tuesday updates. A lot of us say we do them, but we don't actually do them. Or maybe I did them half-assed. So if you can track your email, okay, did I 100% kill that system? Yes or no? No, right? It's just like when you do the sales test. If you can't answer it 100%, it's a no. Freddie, what do you got?
I loved your end of day like recap on what you do on your day. I know you mentioned you have your calendar, but do you have like a reflection checklist that you go through? Like bullet point or something like that you touch on every day after your end of day.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a checklist at this current moment, but I go over things like, was there anything that I need to attend to tomorrow, like with urgency, right? Is there any lead that I need to follow up with before noon, right? Was there any listing that needs additional love, right? Because like my goal is to always get the client before the client needs me, right? Like that's why we have these checkpoints of like, I touch the client every Wednesday evening if their home is actively for sale. Thursday, they get a digital email from our marketing team, right? Wednesdays are when we do our transactional updates, right? I've got 3 benchmarks on a Monday, on a Wednesday, and a Thursday. But again, anyone that needs to speak to me, right? And then is there a gratitude call that I need to make, which is like if I got a referral, or if an agent gave a compliment on one of our team members or a lender, like if there's it's just any actionable items that I need to attend to. But I think that's really it. And again, it's just a point of reflection. It doesn't have to be crazy. It's just like, are you taking time to like put both feet on the ground, review your day, and get super clear on what do you need to do tomorrow?
Yeah, I love that. Thank you so much.
Yeah. What are some other questions before we wrap this? We're good? Awesome. Well, I hope everyone has a great week.